Hey, everybody. Good Tuesday evening. Welcome to Hobby Hotline Overtime. I'm your pal Val, and with me is Mike and Suze. How's everybody today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Is this
Looks like
sudden death overtime or is it just a standard period overtime? I
I
didn't. I
think it's
need to
just.
know before we go into it because first score wins. I got to be ready to go because Susan.
I think it's the old hockey overtime, 20 minutes, and then or is that soccer that does that too?
Yeah, soccer is a period, right?
I like
I
the
think so.
golden goal in soccer. I'm all about sudden death overtime.
It looks like we have a call, and welcome everybody to the Tuesday edition. Chris Stalgum, how are you?
Hey, I'm just looking for the YouTube stream. Hey, Suze.
You're on it.
Yeah, well, I can't find it. So, I don't know.
Let me see. I'm looking here at the.
What a way to kick off this Tuesday night show, huh?
And it's selected.
Okay,
Yeah,
I don't see it. I'll find it. Whatever. Anyway, thanks.
You want me to get you the link?
Yes, please.
It just says view on YouTube. I don't know if we want to do that. Well, let me get. How did you get on the show? Oh, you went the other way. Let me post the link. Well, let me post the link for everybody.
You can just search Hobby Hotline on YouTube and you'll find it.
Nothing like a live show.
Yeah.
Well, this is exciting, though.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, going through Sports Car Live, welcome Logan, Nathan, Brody the Kid, Rich Klein, 3B Collection, Foul Ball. Eric's on those back pages. He went through the Twitter page. I think that's it. All right. So the link is in the chat if you want to join the show. Hopefully we're streaming, but it looks like we're supposed to be on Facebook and YouTube for everybody.
Come on in. Come ask us questions.
Yeah. And if you don't want to come on, in the chat as well. 1 Million Cubs is on as well. So, good evening, everybody. I don't know all the news that's going on, but I started a new job, so I've been out for a few days here from immersion from the hobby. But I did see where the Fanatics chairman had come out about the new trading card company. They're going to cut out the distributors. I don't know. I saw that image of a article or something posted. I don't know if you either one have seen that.
Yeah, I think it was from he was on CNBC like about a month ago, and he was discussing like some of the super high level things that he plans on doing with the trading card side of it. And part of that is that they want to literally do everything. They're going to make the cards, they're going to sell the cards, they're going to distribute the cards, they're going to grade the cards, they're going to then, I think, sell on the secondary market the cards. It's like they want to be sort of a one-stop shop for everything card related. So I think that's what that's about. And yeah, I like, to be honest, like when you look at that and you look at everything that they want to do, I do think distributors and card shop owners are going to be, probably, other than collectors, probably the ones most affected by the changes. I don't think it'll be right away. I don't think it'll be like, okay, 2023 is up and we're making MLB cards and that's it. Everybody's going to shut down. I don't think it's going to be that way. I think it'll be gradual.
It's got to be. I don't think people realize what a monumentous task that is, and to grab every piece of that right from the get-go. I mean, there's a lot of moving pieces in the back, but I definitely understand. I think they want to capture every fee and everything they can at every place that it's currently leaking out right now. Money's going to grading, money's going to, like if you sell on eBay, fees or whatever it is, and they can capture all that. Even they have their own NFT platform. I think it's called Candy, that anything that's sold, if people aren't familiar with that kind of platform, even things on this when they secondary sell, they get a piece of that as well. So as opposed to now, if you have a physical card you sell on eBay, Tops or whatever, they don't get any cut of that sale, but with NFT, they would. So
I got a question maybe for Suze, having been a Tops insider for a long time. There's been a normal hobby ecosystem in place for, we could say, decades probably, of distribution and card shops, and they all kind of work together, and there's always, everybody's taking a cut along the way, right, through that ecosystem. To me, it feels like disaster waiting to happen, because you can't be really great at everything, right? You can be really great at one or two things, but you can't do everything well. It's simply impossible. There's too much to do. Do you agree with that statement? Disagree with that statement?
Well, I agree with you. Like, you can't be the best at everything, but that's also why I don't think it's going to be like literally the company opens the door day one and they're like, this is everything we're doing. I think it's it's probably going to be a structured rollout plan. Like, okay, the first thing we got to do, we got to make the cards. Like, that's number one. We got to make the cards. And then from there, it's going to be different things. Like, okay, we're going to do, cards, like designing and cards. Next step, the step after that, they have a huge distribution network already in place because of their business. Okay, that's going to be the next step. Maybe then grading. I don't know what the steps will be, but it's like then maybe grading comes along, and then maybe the secondary market sales. I just think that it's going to be a process along the way. And like, reality is they have at least 10 years to try to do it. That's how long, at least I think, the shortest license before is 10 years. So it's not as though we only have 3-4 years to try it, like some of the other licenses have been with like Tops and Panini. They have 10 years to try to figure it out. That's not a terribly long time, but it's a long time. So I do think that they're not going to be the best at everything on day one, but they're going to try to get there by day 5,000 whatever it is, like 10 years after that.
I don't know that the hobby will give them that much runway, though, to figure it out. I think there's a lot of already pent up, I don't know if bitterness is the right word, but certainly fear of what the trading card, especially, let's just talk the major sports, baseball, basketball, football, what that's going to look like in a few years. The answer is we don't know. And like Eric says, the hobby can be pretty fickle. And I think we all vote with our wallets. If we stop buying product, they're going to have I don't think that's going to happen. I think people are going to buy stuff because what else is there to buy?
Well, yeah. How many times have you been so angry at Tops, right? You're like, oh, I can't believe this. My redemption has been 5 years and every little thing. And people are so mad and I'm going to stop buying cards. And then the next product comes out and they lined up to go get it. It's like, I get it. Like, believe me, I get it. I literally hadn't bought a card from eBay because they drove me nuts for 2 years. And then the pandemic happened. And now a week doesn't go by that I don't get a new card from eBay. It's nice to think that way, and I agree. You do speak with your wallet, but at the same time, I also think that like we're not just the only hobby here. There's so much. There's a lot of new people who are coming in, and I think that for them, nostalgia doesn't really carry as much cachet as it does for us. History, it doesn't really matter. They just want cool cards, and if Fanatics comes out and is just making cool cards, I don't think they care.
I kind of agree with you. What do you think, having worked at Tops for a long time, for those that don't know your history, what do you think is going on at Tops HQ in New York right now? Are they just whatever, or do you think they're going nuts? How do you think that? And you don't have to necessarily give me any insight if you've talked to people that that still work there, but what do you think they're feeling?
Well, the office is still closed. Nobody's back in the office yet because of the pandemic. So it's very quiet there. But realistically, I just think that there's a lot of just uncertainty. It's like, what's the next? And just like, I think how we talk about it, they probably talk about it too. Because as far as I can tell, nothing has been determined yet is like what the next steps are going to be. If those next steps are, let's keep pushing and like still make cards with like these other smaller like niche outlets, sure. Is it that we try to like pivot making toys and they've tried to do the blind bag toys before, so is that something that they're going to do and try to do even more of? Or is it to like, what, we've hit the end of our road and we're going to sell the name and the IP to Fanatics? I don't think anybody has the answer yet.
Yeah, and we won't for a while. It's just going to take some time for everybody to figure it out. The hobby's just not very patient. It's kind of funny how the backlash can be severe and quick. And I don't know that that's fair. That's just kind of the reality we've all lived with for a long time.
Yeah.
So Eric, those back pages, he was saying that Topps is shutting down this year's project is very telling. Is that the Project 70 or does anybody know?
It has to be Project 70. I didn't know they were shutting it down.
I've been very busy today, so I was actually just looking it up to see.
If it's not NASCAR, then But, so if that's the case, but Topps does have that rich history, and I think if they produce any, Sue's like you said, if it's cool cards, licensed or unlicensed, I think people will buy that. I think it's a combination. I don't know if it definitely necessarily has to have the license, but it's going to be cool cards and that brand that everybody knows. So
yeah, I was unaware. Yeah, there's nothing running on Project 70 right now. Interesting.
Yeah, so but one thing I've been doing was because looking for a job or whatever, is that looking at Fanatics site and looking at the jobs that they're posting to figure out kind of where they're at in the process. So
yeah, and have you seen anything? I mean, the last time I looked, I didn't see anything.
They were working on the digital platform, is what I saw. There's a lot of jobs out there for look like the printing of their apparels and stuff like that, but like I said, I go out there time to time to look, so that's one telling sign. We'll see what they do for cards.
Kevin brings up a great point about I feel like I'm behind here
with that one right there, or
the one about impending labor. Yeah, if we have labor problems, then baseball can be in trouble, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think you saw that in '92 when I know there's been others, but 92, you look, it was not a lot of cards made after that. It was pretty barren, so to speak, with card products. And certainly if that happens and there's a labor dispute and there's a lockout, you're not gonna. I think 2021 is gonna be really tough for cards. And sorry, Eric, and not getting a lot of Wander Franco rookie cards. Sorry.
Yeah, he'll be upset about that. Yeah, that would be bad. That would be bad. But there's exciting things happening in baseball even now. You got awards coming up in the next 10 days, and you've got Hall of Fame, hopefully some Hall of Fame inductions happening, and there's always stuff to do in the hobby.
Yeah, but you know how it is. Like you're the baseball card collector. Like baseball gets kind of dead around this time, and then spring training starts up, and suddenly people will get like super excited again. If that you don't have that little flicker, of like excitement, like it'll carry on, because like the most exciting times for baseball, and this is actually based on stats that I've seen from Major League Baseball, so who knows if I'm allowed to be talking about it, but the interest is highest at spring training. It's highest during the playoffs, and then there's a spike in the middle. If you don't have that spike early on for spring training, like goes in through opening day, then you're really missing out on a lot, because now you've just missed out on months of people being excited and like and that's going to affect cards as well.
100%. And baseball fans are fickle too, in that, I mean, I remember the 94 strike. I remember how bad people were just like, what? All these, millionaires are fighting with billionaires. This doesn't make any sense. Why can't you guys figure this out? And I'm not saying I'm not trying to diminish the issues that they're having discussion about, but the reality is it's in everybody's best interest for them to continue playing baseball. So you would think they've learned from all these lessons in the past, but unfortunately we keep coming back to these same arguments and same situations where it's just like, guys, come on, like put me in a room with two of the guys. We'll figure it out in about 3 or 4 hours. Let's go. I don't know.
Yeah. I remember one year, I want to say, I'm probably going to get the year wrong because clearly my years are always mixed up. It was like 2000-ish, somewhere in the 2000 to like 99 to like 2002 range. There was like also an impending like potential strike or lockout that was going to happen. And this was like in the middle of the season. And my friends and I, huge Yankees fans, like if you know the bleacher creatures at Yankee Stadium who like wave to the players and they should like to show Yankees fans, those are my friends. So we went to Toronto to go watch the Yankees and like the Blue Jays, obviously. And we didn't know if there were going to be games. Like we were just like, let's go to Canada. There might not be a full slate of games for us to watch. And I have pictures of it and it's funny. And like the morning of, like they came to an agreement and they played. But at the hotel, and we were staying at the Sky Dome, not the Sky Dome, it was like what's
Rogers Center.
Rogers Center now, whatever it's called. We were staying there and there's signs when you were coming out from the hallway. They're like, in the hotel, and it was like these like little typed up signs were like, they reached an agreement, the game is on, so I go to the game. But it was just funny to think like we went all this way and maybe we won't be seeing a game because they weren't going to be able to figure it out. But I still have those pictures somewhere just because I feel like it was kind of interesting for it to happen.
So Uncle Rich says looks like he thinks it was 2002, so you were close.
Yeah, I knew it was somewhere in that range.
You're in the ballpark.
I'm lucky I remember, like, sometimes I don't even remember how old I am, so.
That's been a while ago.
I like the pun there, Van. You're in the ballpark. She was in the ballpark. She got to go to the ballpark.
Right. Exactly. You got it. Okay.
I like that. Hey, Suze, have you looked at the veterans ballots for Hall of Fame?
I have not, admittedly.
So there's one guy that I think has to get in this year, and it's Buck O'Neil.
I agree. Actually, that I did see, and I wholeheartedly agree with you.
I mean, if nothing else, just as an ambassador for the sport, totally needs to just be in the Hall of Fame. But all right, Van, what else, man? You got to talk.
I'm working on here, copying stuff into the chat. Give me 1 second. There we go. All right.
I'll tell another random story since we're here, which is Buck O'Neil related. There was I used to work in South Jersey as a newspaper reporter, and they were having this event of like of different athletes, and one of the athletes was the man from the picture with like the Olympics. Again, my memory is shot, but I'm talking about. He's standing up on the podium. He was there. Some other like wonderful Olympic athletes were there, and Buck O'Neil was supposed to be there, and I was so excited for him. And unfortunately, he did not make it, and they pulled it, and it was like a last minute cancellation. And he died like that weekend or something. It was like so upsetting, yeah. But I was like excited. I'm like, I'm gonna get to meet Buck O'Neil for my job, and unfortunately, I did not. But it was just so, like I said, I agree with you because he's had such an impact on this game, and like a lot of people wouldn't have played without him. It's like a lot of the people that are household names wouldn't have become the players they are without his influence.
Yeah. Tom Fagie's asking, yes, Maris is on the ballot. Maris is not a Hall of Famer. I'm sorry. Dick Allen is on the ballot. He will probably get in. If you were to ask me, and there are two different ballots. They're doing the really old guys, which Buck O'Neil's part of that. And then kind of more modern guys, Dick Allen, Tony Oliva should get in the Hall of Fame. Minnie Minoso should be in the Hall of Fame. Gil Hodges is on the ballot. I don't think he should. He might make it. But Jim Cott's on that ballot. So there's a lot of guys that have had a lot of Hall of Fame steam in the past that and I just talked about this on another video, but it's interesting. If you look at the ballot, it is the old players it's largely skewed to the Negro Leaguers, which is great. And then you've got the new ballot, which you got Dick Allen, Minnie Minoso, Tony Oliva. It is like, okay, these guys are going to get their due finally, because you can. I think there was some systemic racism in the balloting process in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Whether you can't prove it, but it sure feels that way. You know what I mean? And I don't like that. I want judge their accomplishments on the field, regardless of their skin color. I think that it's sad. It'll be about time. I just wish Dick Allen hadn't passed away a year ago, and that'd be great for him to see him get in. The way it works, Tom, he's asking about the same percentage of veteran spouses. There's 16 people on the committee, and you need 12 votes. What is that? 3/4, 75%. So yeah, I guess technically that's the same percentage.
Yeah, I mean, with Buck O'Neil, he has an award named after him in the Hall of Fame, and he's actually not in the Hall of Fame.
And he founded the Negro League Hall of Fame. He was a huge part of that, right? So that's
a smaller pool of voters than the general. Is that correct? It's been a while since I remember the Baseball Hall of Fame voting.
Ask your question again, Van. I'm sorry, I didn't hear it.
So you were saying there's 16 that determine I guess like old timers or whatever, as opposed to the regular Hall of Fame ballot. I think it was, I don't know, a few hundred people or whatever it was, or 100.
Yeah. So the regular Hall of Fame, the writers ballot is what we call it.
Okay.
It's Baseball Writers Association of America. There's almost 400 ballots placed by that every year. And then that's a certain list of players. And if you get overlooked by that over time, you pop up on these different, they call them eras committees now. They're not, I still call it the Veterans Committee, but they're looking every year at different eras of the game. And they'll put 10 guys on the candidate list, and each person on the committee of 16 can vote for 4 different players. You can't vote for more than 4. What I love about that, though, is the committee is made up of Hall of Famers, former major leaguers, general managers, people that were literally engrossed in the game. Who better to know what a Hall of Famer should look like than other Hall of Famers? To me, that's a very wise way to solve that problem, Val. So
that's how the NASCAR Hall of Fame actually selects there. They have older drivers, track owners, and stuff like that. So I don't know. I guess when the baseball had changed that, because that was one of the things I didn't like about baseball. When folks aged out, they were no longer eligible. So it's good to see that Maris is on there, and as well as the others now.
Yep. That probably wasn't on our list of topics to discuss, but here we are, right?
Hey, that's what we chat, and we steer wherever we need to go, whatever everybody wants to talk about. I did see Logan had one that was in my wheelhouse there, where he saw that NASCAR had a new champion, Kyle Larson. He was actually suspended from NASCAR last year for I guess the last half of the season, and then this year he comes back in with another team and wins the championship.
Is that a points thing?
Actually, no. It is a points thing, but they actually modified. They have a playoff system now where they'll take it from 12 drivers down after a few races, a cutoff race, again by points, or by if you win, you're into the next round, from 12 to 8, and then down to the final 4. So the last race, you have 40 drivers, but only 4 are eligible, and whoever finishes the highest of the 4 wins the championship. And so Kyle Larson actually, most of the time, they actually win the race as well. So
interesting.
Yeah, I think the first 3 drivers were championship drivers, so it was pretty close. But yeah, Kyle Larson won.
Eric's calling you out, Suze.
He's not wrong either. He says, I'm on eBay looking for Anthony Rizzo cards. Not inaccurate. But only the Yankees uniform. It's very specific. So they just only started coming out because he was, traded, and he traded while I was at the National. I remember it's because people in Chicago were then crying. So it was sad. So his cards and Yankees uniforms only just started coming out in like archives, and not an update though, but an archive.
I was going to ask you about update, but okay, so it wasn't.
Not an update. Archives, like I said. His first actually Yankees card besides Topps Now was like Topps, the T206 cards that they were doing because they did those in waves. So that was his first Yankees, I believe, his first Yankees card in a pack product.
Why do you think Topps didn't put as many of the trade deadline moves players in Topps Update?
Well, thank you for asking. I actually wrote about this like 2 weeks ago when the Topps Update was coming out. I wrote about this in my Card Chat newsletter. This is just from like based on my knowledge from working at Topps, and then looking at the checklist. And looking at the checklist, it was very clear that Topps had a very early deadline for Topps Update than they've had in past years. There was a few things that were able to point it out. One was like the rookies felt very early. They went through only like sort of like the first couple of days in June. Anybody called up after that and didn't get in. And in years past when I worked at Topps, like usually it was like closer to like the All-Star game deadline. The one telling one was that the All-Star cards, usually they're part of the base set, like it's a subset within the base set. Right. They were actually inserts this year, which said to me that they actually had to create them separately from the base cards. So the base cards were done and they had to send them off. And likely they waited for the All-Star game, pulled literally the images the next day and sent that off to the printer. It was probably the last bit of like what was needed for update to go to pack out. And there was a third part, and it was the traded players. The fact that like Pujols made it, Pujols got picked up by the Dodgers in May, and anybody from like later on didn't actually make the cut for traded players. So I think in this case, they were just in this case, they were, it was a timing issue. And a lot of it had to do with the pandemic because of the scheduling is getting changed, probably because also product is just so much like it's needed right now. There's so much of demand for it, not as much as it was like even 6 months ago, but schedules have to be adhered to by the printers, because if you miss a deadline, it's going to push the entire calendar back, which happens all the time. But come Q4, we have like 8 to 12 products coming still ready for baseball. Like you can't miss that deadline for update because of that. So to me, that's the reason why they weren't in there, is because their deadlines were so super early this year, due to a number of factors, some of which I probably don't even know.
Interesting. Very interesting. I would think they would have, at least for the rookies, you could have images ready, like literally till the last minute, and be like, okay, we've got a mock-up of this card. If so-and-so gets called up, we can put them in update. Do you think that happens?
No, because then you're looking at it too, like Franco's a good example, right? He gets, I forget when I'm sure Eric knows, and again, my dates, I don't know any dates, but he gets called up relatively early in the season. He's not making update, because now you've also missed how many releases on the calendar where you could include Franco. So instead, if we're able to include him in 2021, he gets a full slate of releases, not lockout withstanding. And now you're able to push more products because Fernando Franco is a huge selling point.
So Kevin, so does that help? Does that hurt then? The update set. I know. Well, to show my age, the old day. You're looking for that update set because that had all your rookies.
I don't know if it hurts it. It really comes down to the rookies, I think.
Yeah.
Well,
the traded players are just nostalgia. It's just like cool, but I don't know that it drives the product. So.
But then again, with baseball, there's just so many brands and so many releases out. I don't even know how baseball card collectors can even get half of the stuff. With NASCAR, we got 4, so we're able to spread it out over the year and enjoy each release. So,
well, the answer, Val, is that we don't get all of them. You just don't. You find cards you like, and you like. For me, I'm a big Topps flagship heritage. I like a few products, and you can't buy them all. Well, few people can buy them all. I guess there are people probably that buy them all. It's very, very difficult. There's just so many of them.
It's heritage and Tops. And what about you, Suze? What any particular brand that you have to have besides?
Not necessarily. I'm definitely more of a player collector. Like I just generally like to collect the players I like. I'll open product here and there because I still like opening wax. Like that's not going to change. So, I feel like I go for a lot of this sort of core brands kinds of stuff. I like to open Heritage. I like to open Topps Chrome. I like to open. I've softened on Allen and Ginter over the years. I used to really dislike Allen and Ginter, but I've softened on it over the years. So I kind of like those sort of middle of the road type of products.
What's your favorite high-end product?
Let's say I don't really open a lot of high-end. So
I mean, but do you just like picking up singles and stuff?
That's a good question. I'm trying to think of which, because I like triple threads. I think I love those cards with like all the different sayings on them. It's insane. I actually built that product one year from like the standpoint of like as an editor at Topps, and it's a beast, but it was fun. So I like triple threads probably.
Now, is anybody a Montgomery Club member?
Oh, I am.
Have you heard anything about when the renewal happened? I think all the sets now have been sent.
Yeah, I think generally they do it in like this November, December. So like it's probably coming up soon now that you mention it. I feel like it was like around like right before the holidays last year, and I'm like, oh, great timing. Like I have to go buy Christmas presents, but yeah, let me spend $250 on this club.
Because I thought it was around now, but I haven't heard anything. And I know at the Topps Q&A, I was because of the issues last year trying to get them to give members time to renew as opposed to what happened last year.
So so I actually pushed last year. It was 11/6, so it was right about now.
Okay, that's what I thought.
I just went and checked my emails.
Interesting. I really would love to do that. I think that's a great. It's showing its value. That's one thing. You can. There's a lot of complaints about Topps. That's something I think that is a good idea. I think
that's one thing. I think this is the second year I enjoy. I basically got it for the factory set because it's got that whole logoed factory set. But Ked, you were saying, I'm sorry.
No, I was just agreeing with you.
It's always good to get agreed with.
I thought Mike had something before I cut him off. I'm sorry.
No, I'm going to try to join it if I can. If I find out about it, I'm sure it'll be everywhere.
So let's see. There's this was about the club, and I don't know about the Sapphire. Oh, I guess it was the Sapphire editions that you're able to buy.
Yeah, I bought a lot of those, and like I buy them to open them because I'm a collector. So, I like it for Allen and Ginter X, like the black cards. I do buy the Sapphire products. Some of them I'll skip, but some of them this year I actually skipped on because I actually thought the price was just way too expensive for what they were offering. And I get why they did it. Like this is what they were selling for in the secondary market last year. So if you're selling direct to consumer at that point, why leave money on the table? But I let it go and let other people enjoy it because it was just for me. In that case, it was not for me.
That's the same thing here. I didn't get them all. The one that I did get was I don't know if you see the soccer, the Steve
Aoki.
Yeah, the soccer was really nice. And actually put a sample card in the order, so you can see what they look like with that chrome. So did a nice job.
Does nobody want to join us on the show? I mean, I don't know every week how many people join in, but if people want to come on and ask us questions or
we're asking the chat, either one.
Hobby, come on.
They're all talking amongst themselves.
You've got the brilliant Suze with us. Come on, come take advantage of that.
What is your best hobby shirt that you have?
Me?
Yeah, anybody. What's your best hobby shirt?
Best hobby shirt? Like
Yeah.
t-shirt?
Like clothing. I have so much clothing, and it's maybe it's because I work at Tops, but I have so
Right.
much clothing. So, what is your best clothing that you have besides your PSA hat?
Yeah, I have that. I can also switch to an SGC hat if you wanted me to. I have both. Oh gosh, best hobby clothing. Probably my John Newman shirt. My Sports Card Nation shirt is my best hobby shirt. I like how it says on the back, the hobby is the people. That's great.
I'm all decked out today. That's why I was like, I'm wearing this is a Tops hoodie. It says Tops chewing gum. And then my shirt underneath, I actually just got it today. It says collectors first. I just got it today at work from work. So I work at Golden Auctions. So that's why. So I just got it today from work. So
what are you doing now at Golden?
Everything and nothing. I don't know. Just kidding. I oversee the team that writes the descriptions for the auctions. So I oversee that team and help out in other areas where I can.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I know you guys are all Tops, but I got the Panini crew shirt. That's one thing about NASCAR and Panini. Panini sponsored Greg Galding, so there's opportunity to get Panini sheet metal hoods and other logoed stuff, as well as the crew shirts and other stuff. So
I have an excellent shirt from Panini. It's actually a nice, like, heavy duty pullover. Love it. I think it was like I had that before I started working at Tops and had to obviously wear it sparingly, but I loved it.
It's funny going to the National. I'm getting swag, I'm getting t-shirts to wear and from all the different places that you can, because my wife likes to wear them, they're sleep shirts for her. So the Panini ones are always they're incredibly soft the last few years, and she loved those. She's like, make sure you get me a shirt. I do have a great 1933 or 34 Gowdy Lou Gehrig shirts, like the whole front of the shirt's the card, the 34 Gowdy Gehrig that a friend made me. So I love that one too. But
nice.
I'll throw one out. Good.
No, I just say I love my Tops gear too. I have plenty of that.
I have so much Tops. Like one day I counted. I've gotten rid of stuff because I moved, but one day I literally was counting. I had enough Tops shirts that if I didn't do laundry for a month, I would still have enough clean shirts.
That's fantastic.
I moved, so I got rid of a lot.
Well, I think we do need some hobby hotline swag. We need to figure that out. Get some
definitely
merch
before the National. I was gonna say that I'm a PSA guy, but Beckett has got a great T-shirt. I think you collect. I don't know, join the club back in the day. There, and then PSA you got a shirt, but Beckett's shirt was a lot better than PSA's.
Yeah. Somebody asked if we're live on Facebook. We are live. This is super live.
Should be, yeah.
Yeah.
Super live, not just live. Super live.
But
so
yeah,
did you have to, I'm sorry. Did you have to move to where is Golden headquartered?
Oh, they're based in South Jersey, like right outside of Philadelphia. I didn't move for that. I moved I live in New York, and I just moved other places in New York. That was it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but it was just more just moving, and as we were, yeah, that's it. I mean, that's generally what my writing. If you ever see get a text message from me, it generally looks like that because I can't type on my phone at all. So, but yeah, I just moved into a different place for school. It's, my son's 5. Yay, we got to find a good school, like that kind of stuff.
Ian's asking, who are you asking, Ian?
I think it's probably me.
Yeah, I'm a PSA guy too. I'm wearing the bloody hat, right? So I didn't know if that was directed at me, but we can both answer that question. Why are you a PSA guy?
I started when I started collecting NASCAR in mid 2000s. Somehow I got first grading card company actually was SGC, but somehow got to PSA, and I think it was a set registry maybe, and the cards sold well, and so just continued on with PSA with the set registry, the set luncheon. Actually, I think it was in one of the early Cleveland shows, late 2000s, I think it was. They had a PSA luncheon if you had, one of the better sets. Also, a little unknown fact that if you have a set on the set registry, you get a few free card gradings as well. And so that kind of like hooked me in, and so I've been a PSA guy since then. And what about you, Mike?
Well, that luncheon is where I got this hat a few years ago. I mean, this entire thing is all PSA cards in this drawer. So I've got 5,000 to 6,000 PSA slabs in my collection. So
wow.
That I think as a collector, it's not OCD is has such bad connotation, but just that collector mindset is, for me, it's all got to be the same. And I like how SGC does business. I like Peter a lot. I've interviewed him for my show. He's a very nice guy. I think they're doing things right. But once you commit to a grading company, and if you're like me, where everything needs to be, it doesn't have to be the same, but I'd like it all to be the same. So, and then, oh, by the way, the set registry is crack cocaine for the hobby. It is
definitely. So it's a secret sauce.
It is so, and I've always thought I'd love to somehow create a consolidated set registry where it would be an independent thing, obviously, but you could put in your cards for no matter where they're graded and compete. Compete is a strange word too, but definitely to have it all consolidated. I've thought about that for pop reports. Like if you had one website where you could go pull all the pop reports for the cards from each individual website and have a total pop report, that would be, in fact, you could call it totalpopreport.com. Whoever wants to take that idea and run with it.
You got a thing going there. You might as well go for it. I'm like, it's all public data. So
it is. That's my point. If you can get the right, and I'm not a computer guy, I can just come up with the idea. So if somebody wants to run with that, make $1 million, good for you. But if you could just go query the data, it's just data. It's metadata, really. It's like a ton of data. You could figure out a way to go grab that data and fill in all the different pop. The problem is also that each of the grading card companies have different scales. Some have 9.5, some don't. You've got, well, what really is a gem mint? Is it a black label? Is it a 10 pristine? Is it a there's just some things you could iron out, but I bet you could figure that out and kind of go, all right, a mint card is this among these different companies. But consolidating all of that stuff for the hobby would be, I think, super popular. See, where do we go with that super word again? Super popular. But anyway, sorry, I digressed on whatever.
I love it. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I've done it for a few cards. I've done it for the Trout, the Griffey. I've gone and pulled each of the data to know the total pop, and it's not that hard. I can do it typing it in about 10 seconds. It's just, you got to do that for however many cards that you'd want to have in this consolidated database. It would be quite an undertaking. But once you only have to set up the program once, right? You only have to set up the query once, and it'll just have it run however often you want to run it. But so I'm the only one chatting here. We got a Facebook person who's apparently chatting on the Facebook. Most everybody else is on YouTube, Mr. Facebook user. It doesn't tell us your name, so we're not trying to be rude.
Yeah, it's interesting when you look at it that way too, because like if you put you get your whatever PSA gem in 10 and you go look at the pop report and you're like, oh sweet, pop 2, but then like maybe you go compare it, and this is now if you go back like a couple of years, if you had a modern card, like maybe it was a higher odds you had a lower pop report in the PSA,
right.
And then, but if you go compare them with Beckett, it's like, well, it's not as small,
not as rare as you think, right?
So I think that would be really interesting.
Yeah, it can be done. Somebody asked about the Griffey. I'll tell you what the Griffey was when I last did it, which was last month.
The 89 or which one?
89 Upper Deck, which is the most graded card in history.
57,000.
Try 195,000.
Jeez.
It's more than a Tucker.
But PSA, there's 147,000. SGC, there's 8,300, and BGS there's 38,000. So 195,000 of. So like you said, Suze, if yeah, it looks good on one, maybe on one website, it's a pop 2 on this one. Well, not really. It might be right many more across the board, which I think would be very helpful for the hobby, right? If you could figure out a way to aggregate that data.
Yeah. One thing I love about the registry is actually that it provides like really good information too, especially if like I know as I collect Derek Jeter cards. So as a Jeter collector, like I've gone to the registry and I'll read the notes that people will leave for their cards. And like I've learned about parallels I've never heard of or misprints or things like that of that nature. And I love it because it's a great resource for information. And what I found, I think you could even email like some of the people in the registry, and I've met people that way. It's like I find it to be a really great community tool as well.
What's great is they've gotten less good about this, but I've had sets created by PSA. Hey, I would like to have this set. Can you do it? Yes. Sometimes the answer is no, but sometimes it's yes. Or if there's a card missing that you have, you can request that be added to that set, and they're usually really good about that. So it's kind of what's that, where people are contributing to the growth of it.
Crowdsourcing.
What? Yeah, it's a crowdsource. Exactly. There's a lot of crowdsourcing being done there, which I think you could do if you thought about it on that aggregation of data. If you said, hey, if you want to put your cards in here or whatever, you figure out a way to allow people to insert the population information. I don't know. We're formulating this idea here, Suze, and
I love it.
But that dog will hunt, as we say in Texas. That's something that would work, I think. Anyway, not to be confused with crowd surfing. That's right. Crowdfunding is different than crowd surfing, I would think. But I did buy my first SGC card ever a couple weeks ago at the Dallas show. Have you been to the Dallas show yet, Suze?
No, I haven't really traveled. I've only went to the National, and that was kind of it. So I've been it's one on my list that I'll eventually get to, but not anytime soon.
Yeah, I had thought it was going to be a lot less attended because more and more shows are happening across the nation. They were kind of the first to kind of reopen, and it was very popular and everybody was going there. And then I thought, well, that's kind of over now. There's shows Chantilly and Philly and White Plains.
White Plains is still not back, unfortunately.
I thought they just had it. I thought Eric went.
No, they have the Hofstra show, which is in Long Island.
Okay.
The White Plains, where they have it, the White Plains Convention Center, is still a site for shots for
Interesting.
COVID, a vaccine site.
Okay.
I live not even 10 minutes from there, so every time I have to pass it, which is quite often, I'm like, still, like driving past, I'm like, oh, still getting shots. Okay, so one day we'll be back.
But it was amazingly well attended a couple weeks ago when they had the last Dallas show, and that's good. I mean, a lot of people like that show. It's way more modern stuff because, again, a newer show that doesn't have a long history. You get newer dealers that come participate in it that have newer stuff, and so it's way tilted towards the modern, ultra modern kind of world. There's still a few vintage dealers there, so it's still a mix, but not like the National, where it's 50-50, maybe more even tilted vintage slightly. But
yeah, I think it makes sense though too, especially with like the people who've entered the hobby within the last year. I saw Eric at the Hofstra show, so when we went there, it was funny. I was like, I kept tweeting out like things I heard people I overheard them saying, and like somebody was like, why is there so much vintage here? Like the younger crowd couldn't understand the whole vintage thing, and I'm like, you say that now, but come when Fanatic starts making cards, those vintage cards are going to be hot. So I was like, grab them now.
Do you think that's what's going to happen? I agree with that idea, by the way, that vintage is going to become.
I think you're going to see a lot of people, who are trying to think who are sort of like
Stubborn.
completed. I don't know about stubborn, but that's one. But maybe like completists or people who like the consistency and the continuation of tops and all that. And it's going to be tough for them. Like not having if Fanatics doesn't buy tops, it's going to be really tough for them not having that sort of name brand. And what they'll do is just go. They're not going to stop collecting because look, once you're a collector, I feel like you're always a collector. Like you have that bug. I just think that they're going to just find different ways to do it.
I agree. What shows do you like, Val?
I've been to the Dow show. I think it was like May. We have a smaller actually, we have a few shows around the Charlotte area. But actually, for some reason, they have not done the Charlotte show. They've done Hickory, which is about 30 miles north, I guess it is. And then a few other ones. And that had some big turnouts here, a few hundred tables. So the show crowd is definitely out and about, I think. And I think it's only going to get stronger as we go into the new year and tax stuff changes. So we will see. But I enjoy going. Again, as a NASCAR guy, not a lot of NASCAR even down here. There is quite a bit, but vintage and some of the modern stuff.
What tax changes do you think are going to affect the hobby that you're talking about?
So, the PayPal and eBay reporting 1099s from what is it? Is it $20,000 and is it 1,000 transactions down to $600 now?
So you think that'll make people want to sell at shows because
I think so.
It's a much more, it's much easier to hide that revenue.
Well, it's more cash transactions and stuff than other stuff. So that's just my opinion. I don't know. We'll see, but
interesting.
Thoughts?
I'd love to see more dealers at shows. Like that's a good thing. We will see. I think most people are, if you're over 600, you're over 600 kind of thing. I mean,
yeah, I feel like it's going to affect more people because like I could easily go over 600 and I'm not a seller, like I don't sell my cards, but you could sell one really nice card that you pull and suddenly you're over $600, so I think that it's going to be interesting to see how that affects people.
Well, so the eBay and them are going up on their fees and stuff, so it's not $600 after fees; it's $600. So between fees and shipping and everything else,
yeah,
and cards are more expensive. It could be just it doesn't have to be a $5,000 card. It could just be a few $100 cards that have gone up now. So
think about how much that world has transformed just in the last couple of years. I mean, a couple of years ago, I could buy a card, pay with it with PayPal. There's no taxes. There's no, I could just buy the card. If I paid $200 for the card, it was $205 with that, with shipping or whatever, and now you got to factor in all these things, and the sellers maybe there won't be as much out there, especially they might sell bigger stuff. Who knows? Yeah, that's not necessarily good for the hobby. And I think you're going to see a lot more people moving to other platforms, to either gold, auction houses, as much as I hate to say it, PWCC auctions, things like that.
I don't say that word. Sorry.
I know. It's a curse word to me too, but or like Dawn's saying on here, there's Facebook and Instagram and all kinds of places, all these, My Slabs and Card Flip and all these places you can go buy those. Those are all, kind of net. What you see is what you get. If it's $20, you're paying $20, that's taxes and fees and all that included. So I think or like if you see a card on eBay that's a 4 Sharp Corners card, I just go to 4 Sharp Corners and buy it because I get it cheaper and no tax, So
I like to avoid eBay. Like, I said before, like I hadn't bought cards on eBay in years, and I didn't because here in New York, like there's tons of card shows, and like there's the White Plains card show. There was just even smaller card shows in New Jersey at the time. So I bought all my cards from card shows. There was enough Jeters to go around that I was able to do that. But even like last night, like I saw a card I wanted, a Rizzo card I wanted, and instead of buying it from eBay, I went to Twitter and was like, "Hey, does anybody have this card I wanted?" And somebody was like, "Yeah, I do." I'm like, "Cool, sold." Like I don't want to give eBay my money.
Right.
I was gonna say, I do the same thing, but with ComC. If I see it out on eBay and it's listed through ComC, I'll go over to ComC and just buy it there, save some money.
You just might not get it until 2027 or something, but
their times aren't too bad. It all depends on how many cards you're shipping. I've had a couple orders where, long story short, but an 800 card set and getting it shipped, and in 100 card orders, it's basically in January. But if you have a smaller order, it's a lot quicker.
Well, if you buy it on eBay, forget about it. It takes forever.
Okay.
That's been my experience.
They don't get dinged for that. Like, like eBay asks, like, how was your shipping? Like, they don't get dinged on that.
I think most people just blanket respond to that if they're leaving feedback. I don't, it can be 3 or 4 weeks before they even put a, hey, we acknowledge your order kind of thing and give you a tracking number, and then another it's ridiculous on eBay. But I do miss eBay bucks too. Right now there's an eBay bucks promotion, 5%. Just so you know, Suze, go buy those Rizzos and Jeters right now.
Let me do right now.
5%. So how many different Jeter cards do you have, Suze?
Great question. I don't know. But last time I logged them, which is a process, I have a whole box full of cards. I haven't logged it. I was over 2,500 different cards. So we are slowly getting there.
Nice. Who's your favorite driver, Val?
Me, I have a few actually, but some of the older guys as well as some of the newer guys. Chase Elliott, I think, is probably one of my favorite. But I've met a bunch of them. The NASCAR Hall of Fame is here in Charlotte, and I go to most of the induction ceremonies as well. So get to see the newer drivers as well as the older drivers. So everybody is, really great for autographs and to talk to. And I had brought my dad with me, and we were going. They have like a red carpet or whatever it is, and he got his picture taken with Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Martin Truex, and they were so great. And my dad was kind of new to the sport, and so they talked to him for a little bit, and so the sport is very people, I guess, associate kind of like with hockey, the way the hockey players sign and the way they treat fans and stuff. But Chase Elliott and it's kind of one of the newer drivers that I follow.
Are autos as big a deal in NASCAR as they are in like baseball?
There's a lot of autographs, and when you go to the garage, or because of all the sponsorship and stuff, they have something they call a hero card. It's probably about like an 8x10 or smaller, and they'll give those out with the different brands and stuff like that. And so drivers are always signing them. And so if you ever go to an autograph line, they always have those to sign, as well as, if you bring cards and stuff. So most of the NASCAR collectors are either die cast or they do the hero cards because they're kind of free. You just pay kind of for shipping. And they have fan days and stuff like that, or they did pre-COVID. And there's a thing that's happening in Charlotte, and I think it's December 7th. It's called Stocks for Tots. It's a charity event, but basically they'll have 100 and more drivers there for like a $20 donation or whatever, that you can get all these autographs.
Suze, I got a question for you about that, about autographs in general. How many when you were with Topps, did you ever go to a fan fest for the All-Star game?
Yes. I had to think about it. Sorry.
Were players pretty? I mean, if they're there, they're in a good mood because they're on the All-Star team or whatever. Were players pretty eager signers, or amenable signers at least?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Like, I went in 2015. I think I know I was at FanFest in 2015, but I'm trying to think. Like, I think that the different companies would have people at the booths, and they're paying them to sign, so they're gonna sign. I think if you catch them, they were more. Again, you're right. They're in a better mood. They're more willing to sign. Like, I think you see it too. Like during the All-Star parade, like people are throwing baseballs and they're signing and then throwing them back to the crowd. So that's kind of cool. At the Fan Fest, it's not so bad, but I just don't think the players mingle as much. It's like usually if they show up to Fan Fest, it's because they have a scheduled appointment or something.
Gotcha.
But you see a lot of older players. I'll say that. So like the current guys, yeah, but like you'll see a lot of like retired guys kind of walking around, and I think they're much easier to get to because probably not as many people recognize them, but also they're happy, same thing. Like this is a good time. Like the All-Star is a good time. It's like a big party, all week. So
right. DR's asking a good question.
Oh, I kept saying 2021 earlier. I don't know what year it is.
It's all running together.
Yeah, I just saw that Chicago is going to be, well, no surprise, but 2023, and I'm like, oh wait, that's 2 years. That's not that long. So
yeah. So what's one thing you're looking forward to in the hobby in 2022? Yeah. I was like, you know what? I actually am looking forward to the National in Atlantic City. I might be the only one, but I used to live down there. I lived down there for 8 years. And I have actually yet to go to the National when it's been in Atlantic City. I just didn't go 1 year. First time I wasn't able to go. And then the last time my son was born, about 2 weeks before the National. So I definitely was not going. So I am looking forward to the National Atlantic City next year.
hey, we got sorry, got a
no, I was going to say I have to agree that I'm looking forward to the National next year. I've never been to Atlantic City, and so all the I go for the people, and the cards are important too. But
I love Atlantic City. Look, I like it gets a lot of hate. I love Atlantic City, and I'm not a gambler. I don't go and like play slots. It has the beach, it has the boardwalk. Like it's just such a good time. I love Atlantic City.
Well, I appreciate you making me feel even better about my decision to go. I've already, like, literally the weekend after we got back from Chicago this year, we booked an Airbnb. There's 6 of us all staying together in a house.
I love it.
0.3 miles from the convention center. It's a 5-minute walk. That's the way to do it.
I joked years ago that we should do like a real world National edition. So there's a confessional booth and there's all these collectors in the house together. So I think you should do it. You should, or it could be like Big Brother. Just have a live camera going on at all times.
Oh my gosh, the footage coming out of there would be pretty weird. That'd be pretty good though.
Great, but yes.
Hey Logan, how are you?
I'm fine. I just wanted to pop in and say hi to Mike and Susan. Welcome aboard, and a shout out to Eric. And it's a good show, you guys.
Thanks. It's our debut. It's Susan and I's.
Yeah.
We're rookies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we get a rookie card logo on our little picture? Right? Like, why can't it?
I guess we should. Yeah. Well, I can't believe it. The hour's already up here.
Yeah, John's in charge of that, so hit him up.
I'll work on that with John.
I like your hat, Mike.
Yeah. Thanks, Logan. We got him at the same luncheon at the National.
We did.
What was that? Chicago? Yeah, Chicago 2019.
Yep, sure was. I got a couple extra too, just in case I lose this one.
Yeah, mine's looking pretty red. I need to wash it. It's hard to wash hats though. But are we only supposed to do an hour? Why don't we do like 6 hours, like a marathon?
Daylight savings is killing me. So this is this is so late for me right now. But
yeah, it's 10 o'clock to you. So, well, all right.
But I could keep going if anybody else.
I was just reading Chris's comment here about.
Yeah, this is the true story of 7 card collectors picked to live in a New Jersey shore beach house the weekend of the NSCC. I love it.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. That would be
Sponsored
good.
by collectors.
Perfect.
Well, I'm going to go. So you can cut me out of the studio.
All right.
Welcome
Bye.
aboard, everybody.
Thank you, guy. Thanks, Logan. All right.
Well, all right. Well,
We had 0 guests other than other Hobby Hotline members. So contributors.
got a
Maybe
few
next
people in the
time.
comments. Yep. Next time. Still only the second Tuesday show, so
It was great
Well-
though. Thank you for so much for having me, and I look forward to the next one. It was really, I love nothing more than to talk about cards. So thank you.
yeah, and
Same
I
here.
appreciate it. Enjoyed it. I had a good time. So, all right, everybody, thanks for watching. And you can catch another group of hosts on Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. And we'll catch you later.